everybody reads the book. The Secret, The Alchemist. The one that sucked me in early was The Celestine Prophecy. I never read The Secret. I did read The Alchemist. There's no reason humans can't get value from something like that. Like, it's a good story. Like, you don't gotta put any more, like, hey, you have a teenage kid. Like, kind of the low reading level is what, and I don't know what language it was originally published in. I don't know if it was English to begin with, but the translation might be a bit off. Let's criticize New Age some more. There have historically been some New Age beliefs that involve racism and genocide. And, like, I think I've already hammered through, even in this episode, like, that's what's preventing us from crossing the Great Filter. Why would you think that some group of people is okay and some aren't? Like, I don't know how anyone draws those conclusions. The chosen people, this, that, and that's not an anti-Semitic thing. I'm talking about New Age. There's some in-group that gets to be saved, and some, and the rest of civilization is the enemy. Somebody wasn't paying attention when they wrote that shit. That's not there's no battle. There's no good versus evil. Then none of that's real. There's no conflict. So creating one where there isn't is suspicious at best, malicious, and like, I don't know, those kind of forces are, I don't know, I want to say like anti-life or denial of the will to live or whatever. I don't know. It's all a yin-yang. Well, whatever I'm getting flustered over is not real either, so we'll move back. Oh, no. That is real. Don't be racist. Don't commit genocide. Like, or, this is deja vu all over again. I wanted to rephrase that because the use of negatives like don't, no, that those words get ignored by the human psyche. So I need to state that in a way. Refrain from genocide. Refrain from bigotry. Shouldn't need said. What the fuck? The other this is the biggest gripe of people that want to get it, but refuse how radical New Age thought is. One of the tenets is that we create our own experience. So a conclusion that you draw from that is that if something bad happens to you, you created that experience. Or you allowed it to happen to yourself, or that you wanted to have it happen to yourself. And people go, that's victim blaming. And furthermore, so let me start by saying they are right. They are absolutely right, especially from their perspective. Like, in the time-space perspective, that's horrific saying that you know, a child can be abused. How dare you say that child wanted to be abused? That is absolutely horrific to insist that that's the way the universe operates. They're right. That kind of metaphysics is really fucked up. Really fucked up. Grade A. If you view it from outside of time-space, not nearly as fucked up as they would like you to believe. Am I trying to justify the pain and suffering of real human beings? I suppose in a way I am. Not gonna sugarcoat that. I'm the bad guy. On times I've felt as if I'm the worst guy. I'm the Antichrist. I could argue any side. Randall, quit being a devil's advocate. The devil has enough advocates. Yes, I know that. I don't blame victims. Sometimes I do call into question the claims of innocence. Oh, this innocent person was, something bad happened to this person that was nothing but good. I don't know that they were nothing but good. You don't know that they were nothing but good. Their public persona shows, if their public persona shows that they were nothing but good, then they were probably hiding shit, because all of us experience the gamut of things. Like, I don't know, man. Like, once again, not blaming victims. I'm not. What if it was a kink? You still gonna say that they were a victim? What if they enjoyed it? Do you want to shame them for enjoying? See, now I crossed the line there. You're not allowed to say that. That's not socially acceptable to say that. From the perspective of time-space. So that's where New Age gets in trouble. You can't. You need to be more mature and have enough perspective, like, to further the people that say that that's a problem. Where that becomes a problem is in the institutionalization of creating an ethics around the violations of liberty. And that actually does piss me off. A recent example that was brought to my attention was how the Church of Eschatology likes to preach that and weaponize it and then defend it legally. Like, you're promoting rape culture. Go ahead and call me crazy. Like, what I'm saying here violates the metaphysics. Okay, that's where myself and I departure from New Age belief is that you can systemically create an environment that allows abuses of power that violate liberty. That's the world I'm fighting for. That's the world I want to create. I want to create a world where liberty doesn't get violated. And my methods are bad. My methods are wrong. It involves the imposition of my beliefs upon other people based on the assumption that my beliefs are correct or more enlightened than other individuals. Do I have reason to believe that that this is correct? Yes! Or else I wouldn't be sitting in front of a fucking camera talking about it. I usually shut the fuck up. I've been reinforced my entire life that nobody wants to hear what the fuck I have to say. Nobody wants to hear it. But I think it's kindness. I think it's tough love. I want to be the father of everything. And the fucked up thing is that we always get what we want. Like that's another conclusion from this new age stuff, is that the scenario that you're living in is the best case scenario. Not Pascal. This is, we get the best. Blaise Pascal. And how high your watermark is how high you were shooting. So I shot too high. I shot beyond the comprehension of my species, and it's not beyond the comprehension of my species, but like, I don't know, man. Get my glasses. I need more whiskey. Fuck. I really do. I've seen the love that supports everything. All that is made of nothing but love. I've seen it. It's real. I love you. I do. Deeply, sincerely. Oh, what that comes back to rest on. To bring the victim blaming full circle. You are God. Nobody wants that responsibility, so we spend our entire life pretending that we're not. It's easier that way. You get to blame whatever the fuck happens on something external. There is no external. This metaphysics, like, of the body and all that, you're not your body and what your head thinks. You're that, plus your entire field of perception and everything that you know. That is you. That is you. You are the field of perception. You are the world. You're the system that you hate. You're the politicians. You're your political enemy. That's you. Nobody wants to bring that into alignment. That's a word I should start using more. Alignment of self. That we were talking about, like AGI and all the problem of alignment. How do we make sure the super smart robot doesn't kill all the humans? The humans can't stop killing the humans. Why would the robot be any different? Or the machine? It won't be a robot anymore. So moving on to the next point on the outline here. There was criticisms of the New Age movement. There's also some pros. They do a good job of taking orthodoxy and throwing it in the trash. That they have the freedom to play with concepts without attaching it to a established tradition. They get to cherry pick. They get to take ideas from all the world's religions, test them, and whatever's the most true, like the cream rises to the top. What's all these religions have serious kernels of truth within them, but they have become distorted with time. And I think New Age is an attempt to illogically remove the fallacy from mystic traditions rooted in established religions. And I approve of that. I think that's a noble goal. The narrative is compelling. Just as I feel as if one of the only things that I've developed in life is the ability to discern truth from lies. You know, you get a bullshit meter. Like, you hear something, like we've been taught to distrust. My favorite of that was Nietzsche. I think that's the only thing I really got out of Nietzsche. Like, I don't think he ever built anything constructive, but his use of examining and deconstructing the contemporary narrative or historical narrative, any narrative, taken apart, calling bullshit on everything. That was useful. But why doesn't this stuff sound like bullshit to me? Is it fanciful thought? Is it what I want to be true? Even if it is what I want to be true or fanciful thought, is the end result positive or negative? That's kind of like where it goes. The whole, should I be a pessimist or an optimist? I don't know. Whatever you feel like, man. Whatever you vibe with. I don't enjoy the negative vibe. It hurts. I don't want to suffer extra. Camera shut off on me. We got a low battery, so I'm gonna run through the rest of this outline real quick to try to get it down. So why did I find this book so compelling? Descriptions of existence outside of time-space match my experience/intuition. As I've mentioned, I've taken a lot of psychedelics, and the way he describes existing outside of time-space, I've seen some of that with my own eyes, or not literally, figuratively. I've perceived it as part of my experience. So that leads a lot of credibility to it. B, the section that dealt with afterlife matched my intuition to an extent. Before reading this book, what I believed happened when you die was whatever you want to happen when you die. And when Seth talked about it, he said, That's exactly what happens. That whatever you're expecting or anticipating, initially, that is what occurs. Some people stay by their body, some people go to heaven, some people go to hell, some people do whatever, like, or the people that are anticipating reincarnation, they have a jump start because they know that that's what the next step is. He says that there's a next step after you die, and that it is like the reincarnation process. So people that are raised, or people that believe that, are prepared for that to occur, and they get to do a better job of it when it occurs. But people that believe in hell wind up in hell, and they need convinced by, for lack of a better word, soul reapers to help them cross over to the reincarnation plane or whatever. Like, they're stuck in hell for a moment, and then somebody comes to them and shows them, like, hey, no, this isn't where you're supposed to be. You're supposed to go over to the reincarnation field. Other people that wind up in heaven, they take extra commitment. It's easy to talk somebody out of hell and into reincarnation. It's more difficult to talk somebody out of heaven and into reincarnation. So I buy all that. That sounds very plausible. And that he's said that, like, our faculty of imagination just kind of operates when dead. So the thing you're imagining happens. Well, the thing that I was like hoping would happen, I think is happening now in physical reality. So I'm waiting for that to play out, I suppose. I feel like I've done a lot of the after death stuff while alive, and that's why my alive is so fucking weird compared to most people's alive. Like, most people would be like, hey, I'll wait to deal with that when I'm dead. And I was like, no, man, what's next? What's next? and if you were working ahead, like, there's a saying, the man who dies before he dies, when he dies, he does not die. And I haven't seen any evidence contrary to that. All this talk about psychedelics and how it ruins people's lives, well, maybe ruin is a fucking relative term. Maybe they were a shit person, and maybe fucking God was smiting them in an effort, in a genuine act of kindness, for them to get their shit together and get right with the universal constant or whatever. Sorry, let's move on. There was meditations and insight onto biphasic sleep cycles, and my tests were too successful and had to be discontinued. Seth recommended some meditations. I tried the biphasic sleep cycle. The uniphasic, like the monophasic, you make a distinction between me here now and me in the dream state. Whenever you make that switch more often, you realize that's the same thing. The me here now and the me in my dream is the same me, and that me gets to do things. So I experienced a lot of derealization. That amped my derealization up to maximum levels, and I couldn't continue. Like, I've heard about the advanced mystics moving past meditation. I get that, because you need it to get to a point, but once you get to that point, you're like, oh no, I'm aware of this all day, every day, not just whenever I sit and try to be still. And what I'm describing is commonly referred or classified as mental illness. So yeah, I'm glad nobody watches these videos because I'm just encouraging mental illness. Even if it were entirely fictitious, the ideas presented still hold tremendous weight as thoughts to be considered. Just as Jim Henson's assertions to his staff, crew, you don't have to buy it for it to be useful. And finally, the mere exposure to the ideas caused perceptible change without applying effort to integrate. That just that ties into 1984, how they neuter language so that you can't think in certain directions. Seth Speaks offers ideas that allow you to think in directions that you were previously unable to, because you weren't aware that that's what was going on. The long and short of it, that's the utility, or the only utility of it, is that it expanded my view of what I consider to be real. It shed some insight and gave some explanations of why things are the way they are. I highly recommend it, and I would love to hear from anybody that has read this book, particularly criticisms. I'm already a fan. I don't need persuaded to be a fan. Give me persuasion of why it's bullshit or whatever, without being handled. You know, that was my criticism. Like, you could just go, oh, well, I don't believe that. Okay, that's fine. Don't. But if you want me to not believe it, can you share any example of why I shouldn't? Because I haven't seen any. That's it. I'm glad. Coming into this, I thought I wasn't going to get emotional. I hadn't cried on film in a while, I don't think. But so I don't even remember what I was so upset about. I'm going to have to go and watch this to find out. Till next time, remember, you're a sovereign individual. Do what thou wilt.